Hello everyone, welcome to today's lecture. Today I'll discuss about the algorithm of the insertion sort. So, what is the main algorithm of the insertion sort? Let's understand the algorithm first. So, what is the insertion sort? In the insertion sort, you need to insert the certain elements. You can understand by the name of the sorting algorithm. Name of the algorithm, insertion sort, means you need to insert something to anywhere. So what is the main algorithm, main motive of the insertion sort? The outer loop will execute same 0 to the length minus 1 n minus 1 times. The outer loop will execute from 0 to n minus 1 times. And what will be the inner loop? What will the use of the inner loop? At each loop, at each counter, it is selecting a element. Okay, so at each counter, let's suppose I equals to 0. So now the ith element is 2. So behind 2 means beginning 2, there is no elements. Beginning 2 means means the before 0 there is no elements, you can see. So there is nothing to do actually in the 0th position. So now we are increase I by 1. Now I here, I is equal to 1. So I is now here. So what is insertion sort? Like, you are checking this element from the, you are checking the ith element to the before elements of the ith element. Means if the ith element is 2, let's save the ith elements in any variable, like temp equals to 1. I saved the ith element in a variable, in an integer type variable temp. So what will I do? Like in the inner loop, j is starting from the I minus 1 element. We need to do the sorting in the ascending order. So we need to do the lesser elements before the greater elements. So if the temp element, we have already stored the ith element in the temp. So we every time the inner loop, what the inner loop will doing, while I means while temp is lesser than jth element, then we need to we need to do the j element to the j plus 1. Means in the first counter, just understand, in the first counter, when I is 0, there is nothing to do. Before I, when I is 1, we are selecting I is 1, we are selecting the 1, and we are storing the element to the temp variable. Now the j, what is j? J is starting from I minus 1, and until when j will run, until when we find the element which is lesser than the temp. So what is the main motto? So at first we are in j, in the inner loop, the j is 0. So we are checking if 1 is lesser than 2. Yes, 1 is lesser than 2. So we are moving the 2 j element to the j plus 1. We are moving the j element to the j plus 1. So 2 is now here, and the beginning 2 is already here, and the other after elements is such that is as before. So now j is lesser than 0, so we cannot go j is lesser than 0. So now what to do? What we have stored in the temp, that is the ith element. So in the j, in the current j, where we are in the current j, when the j equals to minus 1, then this condition will false. So we are storing the temp final, means after the for loop, after the inner for loop, we will store the temp element to the j plus 1, means j of 0. So now the elements is like that. Okay, so our counter increased by 1. So I is now here. I is now here, means 5. It is already sorted in the ascending order, so nothing need to means nothing to compare it. So now the ith element in 3, the outer loop is increasing by 1, the outer loop is I. So just understand this step carefully. We are now in the ith element, that is 3. We are storing the ith element to the temp. So what we are doing, we are storing the ith element to the temp. So we are comparing the ith element to the jth element. Now what is j? J is I minus 1. So j is now in the 5. In the 5 means 0, 1, 2. In the 2th element, 2th index. So we are comparing 5 with 3. If the temp, we are comparing the temp with j. What is j? J is starting from I minus 1 to 0. 0 means until when the j is greater than temp. So the j is greater than temp 5. So we need to do the jth element to the j plus 1, means 5 is now here. Okay, 5 is already in the jth element is here, 1 and 2, and after that as before. So now the j, and we are we are just decreasing the j. Now j is here. Now j is in the 1 element. If we are checking 1 is lesser than 3 or not. We are checking the current jth element is lesser than temp or not. No, we are checking the current jth element is greater than temp or not. 1 is greater than 3. No, it is not greater than 3. So we are now the control is getting out from the for loop. Now the control is getting out from the for loop because we get the false condition. So what is j now? J is here. J is in the 1th index. Now the control is out. Now the control is out from the for loop. So what we are doing now, we are storing the 3. We are storing the 3 at the j plus 1 as we have done in the past. So sorry, just we have already sorted in the first step, that is 1 and 2. Okay, so we have already sorted in the first step. So j is in the first element. So we need to do the 3. We need to take the 3 to the j plus 1, means here. Okay, so now after the first, second, third, fourth, after the 4th loop, our result is 1, 2, 3, 5, and after is that. Now our ith counter is here. Now our I is in the 4. We can see that after every outer loop counter, our array, our before array is sorting. So when I is 4, same step, 4 is storing to the temp. We are checking, we are taking the j as the from I minus 1 until the temp is lesser than any j. Okay, so we are checking if the jth element means 5 is lesser than 4. Yes, 5 is lesser than 4. So j is decreased. J is now here. If the 3 is lesser than 4, no, 3 is not lesser than 4. So the control will go out of the for loop, and we are storing the 4 at the position of j is here, at the position of j plus 1, means here 4, and at that step where we are getting the 5 greater than 4, we are just take the 5 to the j plus 1, means 5. So as after as a, and now we are at 9. So same as that, 9 is already sorted. So we are at 7. We are at 7. What is 7? Means we stored the 7 in the temp. J is here, means I minus 1. We are checking if 9 is greater than 7. Yes, 9 is greater than 7. So 9 will take place at the j is take place at the j plus 1. So it will be 9, and now j is decreased. J is in 5. So we are checking 5 is greater than 7 or not. No, 5 is not greater than 7. So now j is 7. So what we will do now, we will take the 7 means temp to the j plus 1, means here. means 7 and 9, and at last it is 6. The counter is here. We are storing the 6 in the temp, same as that. So you have understood the logic, I think. So the worst case time complexity of the insertion sort is O of n square, and the base case time complexity of the insertion sort is O of n. So now let's see the algorithm visualizer. Here is also the insertion sort option. So in the insertion sort, what is insertion sort doing from the first to last? It is just take the ith element, and it takes the ith element to the right place of that length what we are checking in that counter. It is just taking the ith element to the correct position and inserted it to the correct position at that length we are considering, and 0 to I, 0 to I, and I is changing in the every counter. Every counter I is what is insertion sort doing? It takes the ith element and insert it to the correct position from at the position of 0 to ith length. So just code it. Take the length of the array. Take the length of the array and declare an array of size n. Take the elements in the array. Take the elements in the array, that is array of I. So we have taken the elements of the array. So now what you should do, the outer loop, you need to do the outer loop first. Outer loop will execute from, you can start from I equals to 1 obviously, because no means to start from I equals to 0, because before 0 there is no elements to compare. So you can start from I equals to 1 obviously. So I equals to 1 and I less than n means it will execute from 1 to n minus 1. So what we need to do in the inner loop, what we are doing at first, we are taking the ith element. We are taking the ith element in a temporary variable. And what is the inner loop? Like what is the condition of the inner loop? While, and we are taking a jth element which is started from I minus 1. Okay, so while we are checking, while array of j, we are trying to sort the array in the ascending order. So while array of j, while array of any j is greater than the temp, until then the loop will execute. So while array of j is greater than temp, until then the array will execute. And what it will do the array of j plus 1. The array of j will take place to the array of j plus 1, and in every time the j is decreasing. And what in the last step, what the array is doing in the last step means, when we get the lesser element from the I, we will now, the control is from the out from the while loop. So we are just storing the temp to the j plus 1. We are storing the temp to the j plus 1. So array of j plus 1 equals to temp. So now we will check at the final step if our code is right or not. Array of I, just check our code is right or not. At first what we are taking, the n means the length of the element. So 5, give the 5 elements of the array: 5, 1, 2, 9, 4. So we are getting the wrong output. I think some mistake is there, so let's check. Okay, so there was nothing a big mistake. Like, you need to give also a condition that when j is greater than equals to 0. Okay, so you cannot go behind 0, you cannot go to any minus index. So there is a condition like when j is greater than 0, and the main condition and, okay, and, so you need to give the and operator, and the main condition is until the array of j is greater than temp. So you can give given the length is 5, then I given the 5 elements 1, 7, 2, 3, 1, and it has given our correct result, sorted result in the ascending order. So hope you understood the logic of the insertion sort. If you have any questions, you can ask me in the comment section. You can ask me on Insta, LinkedIn, anywhere. So just after this lecture, I think I'll make the videos on the searching. I can also make the videos on the other shots like count shot, hip shot, quick shot, and also I can make the videos on the linked list or the CP competitive programming, some competitive programming questions. So that's it for today. If you guys like, please like the video and comment down below that what I need to improve in my videos, and subscribe to my channel, and hit the bell icon for notified the future videos at first. So see ya, have a great day, keep working, bye.